Hi, my name is Jamie Moreno, and this will be my last journal entry for the semester. Throughout the semester, we did cover the topic of crime and deviance. What is deviance? Deviance is basically a behavior opposite to what the social norm is. So basically, social norm is abiding by our laws. Deviant behavior would be doing something that is perceived as against the law. The other major topic we discussed is crime. Um, what defines crime? Well, crime is basically anything that is done that is considered against our laws, which is illegal. Illegal. The two subjects kind of fall hand in hand. So a criminal would be um, conducting themselves deviantly or would be experiencing deviant behavior. Excuse me. Um, in the beginning, we discussed Beccaria, who has been known for his greatest contribution to the subject of criminology, basically, like the founding father for criminology. And what he discovered was the social contract theory, which basically meant that we had no government, we had no law set in place, which resulted um, in people conducting themselves inappropriately, deviantly, and basically criminally. Uh, During the study, we discussed several theories throughout the semester. Um, one of them being the routine activities theory, which suggests that the offender is should be motivated, a suitable target, and have the absence of a guardian. This is one of the explanations for why people conduct themselves or conduct criminal behavior. Rational choice theory is the idea that the cost outweighs the benefit. So basically, if you're thinking of, robbing a bank and you're going to walk away with $1 million, and to you, you think, okay, I rob a bank, I do 10 years, but when I get out, I'm going to have $1 million in my pocket. And that's more important to you. So that would be considered part of the rational choice theory. One of the other theories that we discussed, and is probably the one that stood out to me the most and my favorite theory, is the strain theory, which basically means that strain or stressors increase the likelihood of crime. Um, of everything we discussed this semester, that would be the one that I would have to agree is the trigger for most of our crimes. Um, we live in such a society these days where it's all about social status, what you want, what you have, what you need, what you don't have. And this can put a really heavy strain on someone, causing them to conduct themselves deviantly and end up in criminal behavior. We all want nice things. We all want what society tells us is the newest, coolest shoes. And, you have children who are teenagers, adolescents, growing up, and the coolest pair of shoes are out, but their parents can't afford them. Well, what do? They go out and they steal them. That's how it gets started. They want the cool shoes, they can't have them, they get them one way or another. Same thing for parents. My kids need this, my kids need that. And there you go, writing a hot check or overdrafting your account or um, finding yourself in some white collar crime scheme. You never know. It's never enough. And even people who do have the things that they need and want, it's never enough for them either because of what society demands of us. If any of the topics explain criminal behavior the best, I personally agree that this one does. The other theory that we discussed was control theories, um, which basically means a person acts on their own self interest, which can easily cause them to act against the law. So you don't have enough money to buy that t shirt you like. So you walk in and you take it because that's what you want. Um, Control theories. It's having that self-control, which kind of ties into the strain theory, which is why I think both are usually discussed together. Another big portion of what we discussed this semester was social disorganization, as a reasoning for crime and deviant behavior. And what that means is that we basically have social disorganization. We have children who are running around, single parents working, basically left to fend for themselves, doing whatever it takes, or out in the streets, finding themselves out late at night, not focusing on their studies because it's more fun to be out with their friends. Um, Breaking the rules, doing that type of thing. And this stems in the cause of criminal behavior at a young age. It sets the roots and it plants the seeds. Some of the studies that were done for social disorganization in what we reviewed were, I'm sorry, not studies, but some of the ways that this was tested was that they started implementing more community centers for these kids to spend more of their time instead of being out in the streets. This was all part of the Chicago School Project that was done. They ended up testing this out and finding that the more children stayed focused, engaged, and involved and had the supervision, the less likely it was for them to end up in deviant or criminal behavior. Another big part of what we discussed this semester is racism in our criminal justice systems. Racism and inequalities, basically. Our criminal justice system is deeply rooted with our history and our culture. And it has not been that long ago that we had lynchings or death penalties in excess, and where it was acceptable to just point blame towards a minority or African American. This is a mentality that we as a society have to overcome, and it's not something that will be done overnight. It's basically how our country developed as an acceptable way of thinking. And unfortunately, we see it more and more in our legal systems, in our court systems. Something I read that really stood out to me regarding the racism part of it is on the police officers and their bias and how they conduct themselves. They basically find it acceptable to racially profile individuals as a way for them to do their job. And in doing so, it just generates more deviant behavior because now it's a personal grudge, and now you want to fight back. And instead of remaining calm and doing what you need to do, this opens up a whole new behavior, which leads to deviant behavior. A lot of the shootings that take place do so out of, I hate to say this, but it's just race. It's race because the mentality within the force is a certain way. Unarmed people are being killed. Officers have tasers, officers have batons, officers have other means of enforcing the law. It does not need to go to those extremes. Sometimes it does warrant for it, but the numbers are too high, the statistics are too high. Another big part is our criminal justice system, the courts and the judges and the sentences and all that good stuff. Those were implemented in such a way where they were excessively harsh, especially against minorities. There's no law set in place. There's no accountability in place for why one person gets one sentence and the other gets another. Usually it should be based on the crime, and every crime is different. But when you look at the statistics of everything, you can really break it down and see how one crime is just as bad as the other, but you end up getting different results. You take it back to the 20 years ago, and things were just as bad then. The laws have been manipulated in such a way that they play favor over the white community, and there needs to be something done to correct that. As long as racism exists in our criminal justice system, the expectation for deviant and criminal behavior will always be there amongst the minorities. They will feel threatened. They will feel like they need to protect themselves regardless. They'll fall under the rational choice theory, the idea that the cost outweighs the benefit because they're going to protect themselves, and this is for long term, and they've got to make a difference, they've got to make a stance. We've got to do something with our criminal justice systems. I really enjoyed learning about the different theories of crime and deviance as well as the behavior. This semester, I think I took a lot of valuable information that has definitely changed my perspective on everything. And I look forward to finishing my education and being able to apply everything that I've learned to make a change in our future and to help make some changes in our criminal justice system. Thank you. Goodbye.